ad formats unleashed, mastering search, programmatic, and push.
Go ahead. Hello everyone, I'm happy you're here with us. I know it's a long conference, but I'm sure we will make it entertaining. We are on the affiliate leader stage. So affiliation is about traffic. And traffic comes from many sources, but recently, these days, a lot of us in this industry are focusing on media buying. And here we will dive into media buying on multiple different ad formats, almost all of them that are available on the market. So let me introduce our great panelists, starting from Renz Gonzales from PropellerAds, Mikhail Zhukov from Adsterra, Nick Moutter from Lyft, Laura Tamburini from Taboola, and Barbara Bednarek from Google.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sit wherever you want, guys. Anyway, we will be talking to each other and having it as much interactive as possible. So, why we brought this panel and why this idea came up is that historically, iGaming was a very unique industry in terms of user acquisition because it was SEO driven. So a standard model was an operator having affiliates, so outsourcing to affiliates. Affiliates were SEO content generating. Reasons were multiple. Among them, the complexity of user acquisition in this segment. So in e-commerce, it's much easier to get a paying customer or other industries than in iGaming. It's pretty complex. But recently, last couple of years, for many reasons, and probably we will also touch on these subjects, we see a shift towards paid media user acquisition. For many players on this market, this already happened, but for others, they are now trying to tackle it. How to do it? What's the inventory available? Where should I buy this traffic? How to do it? So that's why here we've got representatives for different ad formats, and I'd like to ask you guys to introduce yourselves from the role and from the company, and to start off the brief description about your type of inventory.
Hello everyone. I'm glad to see some survivors of a third day of conference. It's really nice. My name is Mikhail Zhukov. I'm head of CPM department at Adsterra Network. Adsterra Network is a global ad network with great direct publishers, with high quality traffic, with amazing advertisers. Mostly of them are operators of iGaming as well. Also, 5 years in a row, we are working with iGaming very closely, mostly on web traffic, display traffic, on pop ads, interstitial, social bar, and in-push pages, also native as well a little bit. And so today probably I will represent like a pop ads and mostly display traffic, so we'll see how it goes also. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So I'm Nick Moutter. I head up a investment fund called Moot, but I'm also the acting CEO of one of our portfolio companies, which is called Lyft. Lyft is a iGaming DSP, but what we do is we focus on working with operators' first-party data to help them analyze it, understand it, and make better decisions when they're buying their media for both retention, retargeting, and new customer acquisition. And we buy inventory from a lot of the guys here that I share the panel with and help our clients determine what's the best inventory to buy and when and in front of who. So yeah, that's us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Renz Gonzales. I'm the head of business development at PropellerAds. Well, PropellerAds is the #1 ad network in the industry with on-click push, in-page push, interstitials, TMA, which is the newest thing in the industry, especially in the iGaming industry, Telegram mini app ads. And we've been in this industry for about 15 years. And well, in a way, we work with most of these regulated brands in this conference hall. So that's basically who we are. And we work with most mainstream verticals, and especially iGaming, because it's quite timely. The past, as Mikhail mentioned, the past 5-7 years, it has become very, very dominant. So yes, we're here, and we're working with most of these partners, and we're happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura. I'm sales manager at Taboola. For those who don't know, Taboola is a global native advertising platform. Essentially what we do, we work with sites, some of the biggest premium sites such as Yahoo, NBC, or MSN, Apple News. So what does it mean for your ads? Essentially your placement is seen in a very, very safe environment where the user is engaged in a moment of interest and no interruption, sorry. And so this is like bring like very high value for the content that you're trying to sponsor, in this case, gaming.
Hello, and my name is Barbara. I'm from Google. I'm heading right now the team dealing with the apps ecosystem and creating the solution which can work for our customers. And iGaming is a very new topic for me, so please forgive me if I don't know something about it. I'm here also to learn from all of you. And probably have the easiest job to tell you what our network is about because everyone knows Google and YouTube, yeah? So that's a really very, very big reach and unique ecosystem reaching customer at the 5 most important moments like searching, scrolling, streaming, shopping, and of course gaming. We offer 6 different entities with billions of users, so definitely everyone can find something to fit their business model, their needs, and we can also, with our product, with our solution, help iGaming industry not to be so much dependent on affiliates.
So we all discussed when we know the inventory is there, and there is a variety of options all of you and your platforms represent, but we started this topic from the statement or that iGaming acquisition is changing more towards media buying. So how do you see this iGaming user acquisition today compared to how it was 1, but 3, but 5 years ago? And from the perspective of your platform, and there is this myth that media buying in iGaming maybe is not ideal. So does it make sense to buy ads in iGaming today especially?
So I will start. Okay, thank you. Yeah, for iGaming, especially to buying traffic, is really important because if we will take any of operators and ask them how many traffic do you buy, it will be more than 70% of buying like media. And it's really interesting because the ways, the strategy, the options, they are growing year by year. If we will compare with 5 years ago, we will see like only like hard SEO working is going really hard to work with keywords, with searching platforms. At the moment, you're just coming for like Adsterra or PropellerAds, Taboola, set the links, and you receive a lot of motivated traffic, in a good way motivated, it's not paid traffic. Yeah, and it converts great. We have different kind of options, optimization options, and the technology is going far. And probably next year we will sit here and we'll discuss not only the AI, but something new as well. So yeah, that's how it works.
I think I'm a little bit new compared to probably most people on this panel. So I've only been in this industry 2 years, and maybe that gives me a unique perspective because I've come from e-commerce, finance, and various other verticals where media buying has been a staple of those verticals for decades. I think we can all agree that, you know, the iGaming industry needs a lot of education, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we see with our companies is educating the likes of the people in these rooms around how to do media buying successfully, and changing mentalities, because as you say, we're all coming from a world of SEO and affiliates where it's give me FTDs for a certain rate in the first 2 days or it's rubbish. And you know, and you've got to kind of change people's mindsets to start to get them to understand the different methods for media buying, so, right? So it's new customer acquisition, it's retention, it's retargeting. And one thing that surprised me is that retention is just alien to most operators. And, you know, that's a huge part of how media buying can be used as well as new customer acquisition. But the main thing for me and what I've been trying to advocate is let's have a look at your data. What is your data telling you first? Because you should never conduct any media buying until you know what your current first-party data is telling you. Otherwise, you are just blind. I don't know what other people on the panel think, but that's the biggest thing for me is the education process that needs to be had to educate media buyers and operators to how to do it successfully.
I would definitely agree to that. It's the education part. I think we need to start there because media buying is very nuanced. It's not one size fits all. For example, we all are ad networks. We have different algorithms, right? We have different systems. We have different targetings. And it's really all about educating those media buyers in this case because we've come a long way with media buying from 5-7 years ago, if we're talking about iGaming, right? And obviously when it comes to attribution, Marcin, you know this for a fact yourself on how far we've come, but we're not there yet. So what I think about and what I see is that it's not just about education, but also understanding further down the line, what are the different settings and performance of each of these ad networks like us, and then we move forward from there. Because media buyers can be educated and all that, but it's really all about understanding your niche with one specific ad network. Where sometimes having a lot of them, it can get a bit overwhelming. But if you understand one ad network from the inside and out on how to target, how to optimize the campaigns, which ad formats to use, then I think that's basically the success of it all.
So it sounds pretty positive so far that inventory is there and the availability on the market is quite high from what you're saying, but there's the lack of knowledge how to do it and the technology supporting it, right? So the data visibility. So what's your take from your perspective, Laura and Barbara, from this change? And does it make sense to buy ads in iGaming today?
You want to go? So, yeah, I'm observing iGaming right now, and definitely it's much more data-driven right now, fast-growing, and I need to mention app-heavy. Yeah, this shift to app is happening right now. From my perspective, it's the fastest-growing industry right now. And more customers are really investing in the app business, promoting the app, capitalizing on that, which is aligned with the broader trend, as we have more than half of global population right now playing online. And answering your question, if it makes sense, of course, yes, and not just because I'm representing Google, so I had to say that. I'm simply observing on a daily basis how many companies nowadays are building really decent business out of that. So my answer is yes, but we need to make sure that we really focus on the quality, not on the cost. And by the quality, which is also connected with data measurement, I understand this probability of the first deposit, but also how we approach to build LTV model rate and on. And also from our perspective, it's also very important to analyze each source of traffic separately, not work on average. It doesn't work anymore, yeah? So that's how I see the change.
And Laura, would you like to share from your perspective, from Taboola, how does it look like in this change?
Yeah, absolutely. So on my side, iGaming is really, really changing in the industry in general. So I think from the past, it used to be relatively easier also to advertise a bit everywhere. Used to be also easier to find the type of clients and so on. And now it's becoming much more difficult in terms of also regulation and limitation on geo. At Taboola, perhaps this is becoming a very, very strong new vertical. I agree with what everyone says here. It's very, very important to understand the media buying activity behind. But I definitely agree. I believe it's very important, and media buying buying ads in iGaming is fundamental. And it's especially what I believe is also the owning your channel, let's say a traffic channel, and understanding better where you're buying, and the longer-term value of the user is very important for the future, what's coming ahead.
So it sounds pretty positive, besides the challenges that we have, the education, attribution, and we probably tackle a bit more. But as we have here, all of you representing different ad formats, could you please share, on one end, what are the key advantages of your type of inventory for iGaming, but also what are the limitations you are facing for that particular industry? So why should people run particularly with your ad format, but where it's difficult, where it's complicated, and maybe how to overcome it?
Yeah, maybe I'll start. I'm agnostic here, right? Because we buy all the different networks. We buy across video, native, display, everything. So we're not a network, so we're kind of agnostic, and none of it's our own inventory. But what I'd say is that it's not about it. Going back to your previous point, it's easier to get media buying wrong than it is right. And it's not so much about kind of what medium to use, it's how do you use all of them to the best of their kind of ability. So like connected TV, for example, we're doing huge amounts via connected TV right now, and it's historically just been known as a branding exercise for connected TV, but now we're having technology which is allowing it to be used for performance. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't use connected TV for branding or performance because display works better. It's how can you use them in harmony, and how can you use cross-device targeting, and how can you capture your right audiences across the different formats rather than just having to focus on the right format. So that's kind of my opinion from the agnostic point of view. I don't think you should just buy native, or you should just buy video, or you should just buy in-app. I think it should be a blend, and it should be a focus on the actual user itself, rather than the specific ad unit.
It sounds really difficult if you want to build like a complex environment and to connect the dots.
It isn't, not because obviously because we sit above all of those, our algorithms tell the users what to buy and when and for what price. So it's not actually that difficult. The technology is there to allow people to do the decisions for them. It's not actually that difficult. That's what machine learning's for. I guess, again, it's just an education process of getting people to understand that and let the systems do the work for them.
Well, the competitive advantage in this case of PropellerAds is that we have direct exclusive inventory worldwide, and with our ad formats, iGaming brands generate users. They generate players, right? And it's really all about diversification. And when it comes to using on-click, for example, and push notifications, those are the top ad formats that we see the highest amount of conversion rate from registrations to FTDs, right? But to your question about limitation, I think we don't see things on a limitation side of the equation. I think we see it as what else could we develop in order for us to provide more inventory for our advertisers. And this is how we've thought of Telegram mini app ads, for example, as the next big thing for us. We've evaluated the market, we've conquered the market, and that's what we've done for the past year, is that we've focused on a niche that we wanted to develop for advertisers, and that's what we've done, and that's what the performance says. So for us, it's really all about not limiting ourselves or thinking about limitations, but what else can we provide advertisers in terms of inventory.
So yeah, I totally agree with Renz, because about the limitations, let's say like a limitation is our heads, because when we are working with pop ads, mostly on Adsterra network, we are trying to interact with different ways, with different landing pages, technologies, strategies, creatives, like label ads and so on. Yeah, and the question about limitations is just usually like what's the regulation in the countries? Are you able to run such creatives or not? And the inventory, for example, in Adsterra, PropellerAds as well is growing, and the question also of technology development. And here's the limits, because as far as we're working with web traffic, it's not like well developed into technologies questions, and yeah, this is the main limits probably from my side.
I think like at Taboola, like what I would say is that on the let's say like on the side of like why it's important, like I would say for iGaming, especially like as well as many other industry, we work with sites, right? So our sites are like very, very premium, are very, very known. So essentially the ads appear in a place that is very safe. So for this type of industry, appearing in a safe space means also like connecting to a user that is very high quality and also relatively bring like lower value, longer value. And second, I would say like in terms of ads, we have like new like always changing like type of like ads for gaming. So it goes like not only static images, but also like videos or like moving image. And this is really connect with the engagement side of the user and the campaigns. And finally, I would say, because we do work with sites and we have a lot of like very niche sites, so like sports sites, lifestyle sites, news sites, those are the type of place where you find already the type of user that you're looking for. And those users can, of course, like convert into playing customer. On the limitation side, I would say at Taboola, at least, the bigger limitation it comes for licenses. I would say this year there have been a lot of changes on licenses and open new geos. But at Taboola, let's say we always review like licenses, regulation for different geo, different market, but really trying to make sure that we are compliant with everything, but also trying to really make sure that we can open more geo possible to really connect with more players and more connect with new brands.
So let me start with limitations. So on our side, definitely this policy, as we are very, very strict about that, which means that usually we are quite late at the market after others. And also we require all the necessary license, and that's for sure. Also, if we look at how fragmented measurement ecosystem is right now, it makes really, really difficult to have one holistic view on the data. So now switching to advantages, especially to cope with the second challenge, is that Google definitely has the widest reach, massive reach, and we have unparalleled trust among our users. And we have really proven ROI, which is driven by fraud detection, but also automated products. And this automated products that's what absolutely I encourage all of you to leverage, because Google has been like the pioneering and has been proficient in automation, data automation and marketing automation from years. Not mentioning that UAC campaigns was introduced in 2017 that no one even was thinking about AI, and that was fully automated product. We are working much better, bringing much better results. So that's definitely the strength.
So we touched the limitation of regulation, and this regulatory environment in iGaming is changing. Years ago, it was kind of wild, wild west with many really gray, so unregulated markets. Now we've got markets which are regulating or which prohibit iGaming. Recently in India there was the change of regulation for blocking strongly iGaming. Next year regulation will happen in Finland or Alberta, part of Canada. Finland as well will have a more regulatory regime. So how do you and your platforms adapt to these new regulatory environments and this evolving market rules? How is the perspective of this regulatory regime? What are the resources played? And how to navigate in this environment?
I can start here. I remember the first time I started working with iGaming, or like iGaming clients, or attending my first ever conference was IGB, I think, of gaming. And I remember having conversation with clients, and the conversation was always, before you even start talking about anything, is what license do you have? And this is because at least at Taboola, without license, you can, of course, run. So we understood at Taboola the very, very, very big potential the gaming, casino, social casino industry has. We are trying to always review regulation based on geo and based on also opportunity and possibility. And this is something that we have an internal policy team is reviewed monthly or quarterly to really try to open up new geo. On this side, I would say from this year, finally Taboola has approved much more licenses. So for instance, just to even name one, Curaçao now is approved for many, many strong geos, such as Canada, LATAM. And this is something that was a very big change from the past. So now we see very big iBetting or casino or gaming company finally being able to advertise on Taboola and being compliant with the regulation.
I think you always need to adapt into this case, because different markets, I remember when Brazil, had that kind of boom, right? And, Sigma also basically built their conference there, but it's really just about adapting to it, It's all regulations are just basically tougher measures for the audiences themselves when it comes to addiction, when it comes to different other progresses that need to be done. But for us, it's adaptability.
Okay, so maybe right now, because I will be quite quick in this topic, as we are very, very strict. So each our property has a very strict policy in terms of the content, gambling content. We require also all the information to be added on the landing page. We need to issue the certificate for every single market that the customer wants to operate. So I would say that, yeah, strict, not flexibility and not fast.
But it's worth it, like I believe.
It's worth it because, you know,
long run.
first of all, we are not exposing our customers to any risk of any penalties from the local regulators. I think it's very, very important for Google to do so.
So, and for Adsterra, as far we're working with single media buyers and media buyers group, we're trying to keep them in share with information is coming up with regulation. As far we're trying to keep a handle all the changes in the market, especially like it was in Brazil when people start thinking about regulation in Brazil a year before it regulated. So we knew about it like 5 years before because the first articles, unfortunately, on Portuguese languages appeared like in 2018. And after this case, the Brazilian case, we're trying to be in information just to share in time and be like on time and save our money.
That's true because regulation happens usually longer than expected, but sometimes things come very suddenly, like with Sweep Social Casino in California, which was last month that was stopped. So we need to be very hands-on in this topic. And Nick, in your perspective, when you've got different sources, is there some extra complexity from your case to navigate this different platform per platform landscape, regulatory landscape, or it's rather pretty similar on every of these partners?
This is a long answer. I'll try and keep it short. So we're one step removed from kind of the licensing side of things, but at the same time, there's just so much to navigate, right? And we're actually just in the process of hiring a compliance officer because it's getting so complicated. So from a business owner's perspective, we obviously owe a duty of care to our shareholders to ensure that we're compliant in all of our possible areas. So if we spin up in a new jurisdiction like Peru or some unusual kind of new country for us, the first thing we have to do is check, are we compliant? And unfortunately, I don't think you can be as proactive as we'd like to be. And a lot of the time we are reactive. And there's nothing you can do about that, right? You are reactive and you just have to react to it as quick as you can, i.e. the India thing. It was real kind of out of the blue for us. But given there's so many countries that we operate in, I mean, we operate in everywhere apart from kind of Russia and China, we have to cover a whole breadth of different scenarios. And I think that's just really difficult. If anyone can ever get it right, I don't know, but we try. And that's why we're having to hire compliance officers and people like that. But as I say, we are kind of one step removed, but we still try and ensure that we are and try and be proactive. But unfortunately, I think some cases we are going to have to be happy with being reactive.
So it sounds like this is another layer of complexity for our business or your businesses when navigating to the iGaming space, a regulated industry. But we also discussed, and you mentioned the attribution as one of the challenges around it. So I would like to dive a bit deeper into that space. This is also something very important for me, representing Voluum, because we are a tracking system. So attribution is our bread and butter. And we also operated with other industries, e-commerce, lead gen, finance, where media buying and this attribution is a bit more older and advanced. So how do you find this topic in iGaming industry? As in your platforms, you work also with different industries. So how would you compare it? This real-time conversion reporting compared in iGaming versus other industries? And why this really matters? So why it makes sense to send conversions like server-to-server postback, for instance, to the traffic platform? What's the value an advertiser gets from it?
So I just want to compare like also 5 years ago and now, like when we started working with iGaming like 5 years ago very closely, nobody wanted to share even with registration because it was really sensitive information for media buyers especially. And the present day probably all of our partners sharing with second and third event. That means they firing us like registration, FTDs, second FTDs, and it helps a lot to create the analysis and optimization stuff and optimization options inside of our platform, and it's completely different way how to work with iGaming last like 1 year, maybe 2, and also we are working with different types of verticals as well, and we never met any problem, for example, for e-commerce with conversions or dating or something like this, but we had a really huge problem with iGaming because, as I told before, nobody wanted to share with data, and now it's done, like everything's going good. And it's really important to share with data because only that way we can create like something good in terms of optimization, performance, and acquisition as well.
So there's a gap which is shrinking now.
I think that it's improving a lot, but I've never come across a vertical that's so fundamentally flawed when it comes to attribution as iGaming. And I don't mean that to sound hugely derogatory or anything like that, or even offend yourself because you are in the space, but there is a long way to go in this industry to get attribution right. I don't think any industry has actually got attribution right, and my argument to that is if you look at e-commerce, you'd use Triple Whale or one of the other attribution platforms, you could put all 3 of them and all 3 of their pixels on your site, and they will all tell you something different.
Yes.
So if they were correct, why are they all telling you something different? And I think that I would love to see the end of the postback because the postback system is fundamentally flawed. It doesn't give you enough data. It's okay if you're using a basic network model and you just want some basic data back to look at a report, but when we're in an age of machine learning and using automation to optimize campaigns, you can't rely on a postback system. It just doesn't give you enough data, so there is no way you can optimize in real time. So I think clients and companies in the space need to get more comfortable, as you were just saying, with using pixels and sharing the data, and it's all PII compliant. It's just data around the performance of campaigns that is needed in order to optimize, because without that the clients are the ones who are going to suffer. So they've got to be willing to share their information in proper feedback loops in order to optimize campaigns. Otherwise they're never going to get the performance they deserve.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's really just quite challenging to get operators to really work with postbacks. Or there are operators with their affiliate platforms, right? And when it comes to their affiliates in this case, they buy tons of traffic from different sources. But one of the things that is lacking is that attribution when it comes to cost efficiency. Because, Marcin, we've had some mutual connections in the past with some clients, and you understand exactly how hard it is to kind of like navigate through and guide them onto why they need an attribution company. That's the difficult part, and to kind of persuade an operator that you'll buy traffic smartly, efficiently, rather cost efficiently, is sometimes challenging to do so. But again, for us, what we see is that when an operator has their own media buying team and are working with a postback, an attribution platform, that could be an in-house, that could be a third party, it just makes sense for them to optimize their campaigns as efficient as possible. So you're not just buying traffic blindly. We're not in the 1980s. CPC, CPM buying is just, okay, great. You're just basically just buying, just like that without any kind of optimization. So in my humble opinion, I think that operators should start really implementing and integrating with trackers, attribution, for cost efficiency. That's simple as that.
And I think the biggest difference is that if they come from SEO-driven space, then this attribution is not so crucial. But when they need to diversify, and I've heard this word diversification towards media buying many times at this show, then this is a must.
But we have to be honest, right? And that there's a lot of companies in this industry that don't want attribution. They don't want correct attribution because it's going to uncover affiliate tactics which aren't correct and all the rest of it. So it needs to change because there's just been this huge reliance, and because there's so much revenue being generated under these channels, people think it's okay and it works. Just because it makes money doesn't mean it works. It could make a lot more money and be far more effective if it was done properly. Especially in the long term with the more complex environment for online user activity.
I think also if I look at the clients I work with or just native in general, attribution is fundamental. And what I think is working with Voluum or platform, they really understand live attribution is really, really helping us to optimize. And optimizing, of course, is going to help us to make the campaign perform better. So understanding not only the soft KPI, but also the hard KPI is really going to help us to understand how to improve the campaign, how to lower CPA, and so on. So absolutely, this is something I say to at least all the clients I work with. This is the number one thing, understanding how attribution works.
So we are definitely the company who wants to crack this attribution, yeah, and make sure that our product makes the best job. So when I'm observing iGaming right now, from my perspective, that's crucial that they learn more from the casual gaming. All this measurement, dynamic data attribution, defining ROAS is very, very important. And why? Because data is a key, really. The more difficult, the more competitive and complex industry is, the more important is how you really use and utilize your data for better performance. So in apps, for example, it's not enough right now just to track what happened after the installation. You need to go into really complex post-installation event measurement. And why? Because we are more and more going in all this automated solution, driven and powered by AI. And the better data you put there, the better results you get. It's like the fuel for all this system. That's why it's so important. And definitely iGaming should learn much more from casual gaming and other industries, fintech, who are already, maybe not already there, but much more advanced.
Because the knowledge is there. There are specialists on the market. And iGaming can easily recruit these people, which are available. So we've got the last couple of minutes. So I would like us to do a little bit of time travel or prediction. And how do you see this change from your perspective, media buying, networks, platforms, inventory, in iGaming in the next 2 or 3 years? And if you could change with a magic wand, say this is a magic wand, one thing, what would it be?
If I had a magic wand, I will reduce all regulations in normal way, just to be sleep well. About the perspective is, I think everything is going to AI, but it will be restricted or regulated as well. I think so, because it's impossible to go nowhere with AI at the present day, because it already is going crazy in some cases. And for iGaming, I think it will grow, of course. And some new technologies, some new casinos, some new betting way will see us in the future. And that's it. Everything is going around regulations and AI.
I think that we're going to see a lot of consolidation, and I think that we're going to see, hopefully, a lot more innovation in the space, because I think that's obviously what we all want and we're all kind of advocating for, which allows people to actually work with technology providers and networks direct and kind of disintermediate the agency model that I think is around too much at the moment, and actually working directly with the inventory providers like people on this panel. So yeah, I think, I know a lot of the things I've maybe said today come across as quite negative, but that isn't my intention, because I think there is a lot of positivity, and we're in the fastest growing industry, as Barbara said, around, and all we want is for it to kind of continue to evolve to the best place. But if I was to wave a magic wand, it would be to have a greater shift from historical mindsets to more modern ones in tune with other industries. I know that sounds quite loose, but yeah, I think it would just get it in more pari passu with other verticals would be my objective.
I would say with iGaming, starting with that, I would see more gamification, because I think that's where the future is headed on how we engage players. Obviously in an environment that's engaging for them, and I think that that's what operators or game providers, platform providers will be focusing on too. Now, if we would go outside of iGaming, I would say e-commerce, because I don't know if you guys have just read, ChatGPT has partnered with Shopify, so that's already an e-commerce ecosystem that we're going to see more and more, and I think that users are already online. That's undoubted. So it's inevitable that we're going to be seeing more e-commerce, more finance offers, iGaming as well, so more gamification and more features that would engage users to, convert in a way online. If I had a magic wand, it's a tough question. Well, let's say on our topic, I would have everyone learn about attribution, period.
Can I just add that I'd love to add personalization to that as well, greater personalization with that.
Okay, so if my magic wand, I would definitely broke silos in the gaming companies. Right now, it's really crucial to understand that the quality of the creatives, the signals of given to the acquisition, or the ability of the product to sell, that's all interconnected. We need to build this much more holistic approach to that. So how I imagine it in the future is definitely like the more sophisticated approach to the measurement, more dynamic data analysis, making sure that departments collaborate, talk to each other, and creating the same KPIs. And of course, breaking these silos, so really allowing all the departments to play the same game and get the same score.
And I think for me, starting on the magic womb, which Italian, I get confused how you pronounce it. I would say, for me, probably money would be the most important thing. And when I say money, I mean money for testing. At Taboola, especially, I often see brands or clients that really hope for results straight away within the first week. iGaming, casino, it's something that takes time. We need to optimize. We need to understand what is the right material to test. So you cannot see results in the first 5 to 6, 7 days. So having a budget that can allow you to really test, it's what is very important. And having a budget that allow you also to test different landing page, different title, different creatives is what is actually going to make the difference in how we can see if the results are going to come and the results are going to improve.
Thank you, guys. I think we could stay here for a bit longer, but the audience won't stay with us. It's the end of the show. So I really appreciate your insights. It is positive, I would say, that there are your options for iGaming industry, and with the right approach, which is knowing, so education, how to set up a proper attribution, and with navigating with the regulatory regime, which is also more present these days, there is an opportunity for the market, for affiliates, for operators. So let's hope the future will be brighter, more accurate, and maybe easier regulated. Tight, right? Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.